bummed out as we begin another busy broadcast week. Yes, it's primarily because it's a Monday morning. Yes, it's because it's a gray Monday morning in the middle of January. It seems like winter is going to stretch on forever, but mostly I'm bummed out about the fact that NFL football games are 60 minutes and not 58 minutes. How do you outplay the number one seed? And I mean outplay them for 58 straight minutes and then collapse in the final two. A magical Packers season comes to an end on Saturday night. We will, of course, analyze. Ron DeSantis drops out of the presidential race. As Nikki Haley says, now there's one lady and one fella remaining. Well, kind of. There's technically a lady remaining in this. Even if Haley does manage to pull off an upset in New Hampshire, which I think would be incredibly unlikely, especially with DeSantis dropping out, President Trump is now, and probably has been for some time now, hence why DeSantis dropped out, the presumptive Republican nominee. We will discuss all of that. Plus, Republicans want to put the abortion issue to voters. That coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. We name the unhinged liberal of the day. We'll check in with Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex Wealth Management. I want to hit him off with start him off actually, and hit him with some of the statistics that we put out on Friday. For those asking, it's going to be part of a Federalist column, great conservative national website, thefederalist.com. You are not better off than you were 4 years ago. The statistics that prove that even though the Dow Jones Industrial Average keeps hitting record highs, for everyday Americans by every objective measure, you are not doing better than you were when Donald Trump was president. All of that coming up. But first, if you would like to join the program, 414-799-1130 is our AdventNews.com talk and text line. You can reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me, DOD@iHeartMedia.com. At Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. Streaming live on both of those sites, as well as on our YouTube channel, YouTube.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. The Dan O'Cam is live. We are looking at some of your comments right now. Nancy, are you all recovered now? I hope so. Kind of. I actually finally went to an urgent care yesterday because I didn't think I was getting all that much better, and actually got some antibiotics just on the outside chance that I've got a sinus infection, an ear infection, something like that. Doctor there said, look, it's possible you're just towards the end of this thing. We've seen a lot of people come in, and this illness lasts 2 weeks. So while I feel well enough to go to work, I am still not nearly 100%. So I've got some steroids. If I start raging on callers, you'll know why. I've got some antibiotics, and hopefully, I'm feeling better. I am actually feeling quite a bit better than I was even last week. Had a great weekend, feeling rested, feeling ready to take on another busy broadcast week, and feeling ready to win you $1,000 in our cold hard cash contest. The nationwide keyword this hour is money. M-O-N-E-Y, money. You have got until 55 past this hour to go to our website and enter the keyword money to enter the contest for this hour. If your entry is picked at random, $1,000 in straight cash money is yours. All right, we'll talk about the Packers game in greater depth. I have to work up to it to get my thoughts fully collected. Even 48 hours later, I'm still processing how exactly you can, not get that first down when you absolutely needed it deep in the 49ers red zone in the first half. How you come away getting into the red zone 3 times and get 6 points. 49ers come back and get the Christian McCaffrey touchdown. Had even one of those been a touchdown, I know you can say what if, the game flow would be totally different, but the Packers get a touchdown on one of their first 3 trips into the red zone, and this might be a completely different ball game. The Niners might have been completely taken out of it. But when you allow a good team, and I suspect the Niners are a great team, I think everyone believes, likely going to be them and Baltimore, although don't count out Kansas City. Kansas City last night took advantage of a whole lot of Buffalo Bills miscues. You think about a team that has a lot to think about heading into the offseason. It's the Buffalo Bills. But this game was not, the Packers game was not just Anders Carlson missing that 41-yard field goal. Yes, that was completely inexcusable. It's remarkable the parallels between that Buffalo game and the Packers game, right? Tyler Bass, the Buffalo kicker, misses a 48-yard field. That was not a gimme. All right, a lot of people, oh, wide right, wide right. That was not a gimme of a field goal. Yes, the wind was at his back, clearly had the distance, and he just shanked it right. But towards the end of the game, Buffalo can tie it up. This game goes into overtime, and you're feeling pretty good. Although Mahomes would have had a good amount of time to take the team down the field and get into field goal range. They've got a very good field goal kicker in Harrison Butker as well. So it's entirely possible Kansas City still wins that game. But for the Packers, a comedy of errors in the last 2 minutes, starting with the Anders Carlson miss. And I would be lying if I didn't say to the people I was watching the game with on Saturday night, Packers are going to lose. As soon as Carlson put that kick left, I said, they're going down the field. They're going to get a touchdown. There's not going to be enough time left to get into field goal range. Packers are losing this game. I could see it coming before it even happened. Sure enough, he misses, and defensively, of all the times for the Packers to just completely disappear, for Joe Barry's defense to look like Joe Barry's defense, and they're looking at this soft zone coverage that Brock Purdy is just able to carve up. And how many different third downs were the Packers just unable to get a stop, not just on that final drive, but throughout the entire game. To put this game entirely on Anders Carlson is a fool's errand. This was a team effort. And to say nothing of Jordan Love's horrific pass. This is like quarterback play 101. You never throw across your body to the middle of the field, especially deeper than about 20 yards. It was first down. Packers had plenty of time. All they needed to do was to get into field goal range, tie the game up, and he's doing his best Brett Favre impression. In fact, did you see on social media, they actually did the Brett Favre when he was with the Minnesota Vikings, and he throws the exact same throw that Jordan Love made across his body against the New Orleans Saints, and the very famous call, "What are you doing, man? This isn't Detroit. You can't make that throw. This is the Super Bowl." The Vikings announcers were just as... well, they were not quite as accustomed as we Packers were to Brett Favre making that throw. To Love's credit, he owned it. He said, look, I made a terrible throw. It was one I never should have made. And that was Darnell Savage dropping a pick six. I mean, there were all sorts of mistakes. And like I said, we will break down, unfortunately, all of them. But first, big news in the political world, huge news over the weekend.
Now, following our second place finish in Iowa, we've prayed and deliberated on the way forward. If there was anything I could do to produce a favorable outcome, more campaign stops, more interviews, I would do it. But I can't ask our supporters to volunteer their time and donate their resources if we don't have a clear path to victory. Accordingly, I am today suspending my campaign. I'm proud to have delivered on 100% of my promises, and I will not stop now. It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance. They watch his presidency get stymied by relentless resistance, and they see Democrats using lawfare this day to attack him. Well, I've had disagreements with Donald Trump, such as on the coronavirus pandemic and his elevation of Anthony Fauci. Trump is superior to the current incumbent, Joe Biden. That is clear. I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge. He has my endorsement because we can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear, a repackaged form of warmed-over corporatism that Nikki Haley represents.
DeSantis making that announcement in a video Sunday afternoon. It shouldn't have come as a huge surprise. He really needed to win the Iowa caucuses to have any prayer. He was polling at about 6 to 8%. Nikki Haley, for reasons known only to the good Lord, is polling in the 40s against Donald Trump. In fact, the latest New Hampshire poll that I saw has her within 2 points of Trump. Now, this poll was obviously seriously taken before DeSantis dropped out, and a good number of DeSantis supporters. In fact, you heard him say we need to stop Nikki Haley. He's endorsing Donald Trump. We can't have the, quote, warmed over corporatism that Nikki Haley represents. So I would suspect that a good number of his supporters are going to go over to Trump. And I actually don't believe the polls that are showing Haley within 2-3 points. I believe that she's somewhere in the neighborhood of 35, 38, maybe 40%. But the overwhelming majority of New Hampshire primary voters are likely to go to Donald Trump, even with Democrats' supposed Operation Chaos, where they're getting Dems to get into the Republican primary and to vote for Nikki Haley. I don't see her pulling off a staggering upset. Donald Trump is and has been for quite some time the presumptive Republican nominee. He clearly, throughout the last 9 months, saw as by far the biggest threat to a second term Ron DeSantis. How do we know? Did anyone really have a nickname other than DeSantis? Sure, there was bird brain Nikki Haley, which I still don't quite understand. Haley, for all of her faults, is not a dumb human being, but we had Ron DeSanctimonious, Ron DeSanctus, Meatball Ron, all of this. Trump, ever magnanimous in victory, said he was going to retire the Ron DeSanctimonious nickname, and before he started a speech in New Hampshire last night, made sure to thank Ron DeSantis for running a great race.
Before we begin, I'd like to take time to congratulate Ron DeSantis and, of course, a really terrific person who I've gotten to know, his wife Casey, for having run a great campaign for president. He did. He ran a really good campaign, I will tell you. It's not easy. They think it's easy doing this stuff, right? It's not easy. But as you know, he left the campaign trail today at 3 p.m., and in so doing, he was very gracious, and he endorsed me, so I appreciate it.
DeSantis is going back to Florida, where he's going to be term limited in 2026. Now, this has already led to some speculation that DeSantis would, in fact, be Trump's running mate, and I don't see that happening, unfortunately. Trump essentially proved that all of the animosity that he had towards DeSantis was completely manufactured and had nothing to do with what he really thought about Florida's governor. It had everything to do with the fact that DeSantis had the temerity to run against him. And I suspect when Nikki Haley drops out, Trump is going to be equally complimentary and conciliatory to her. This is how Trump does politics. If you're not used to that, you've probably been in a coma for nearly the last 8 years. This is just what Trump does. He absolutely brutalizes his opponents in both Republican primaries and the Democrat general election. Well, right now, the primary is, for all intents and purposes, over. And while there's some bitterness about the Ron DeSanctimonious stuff and some of the pro-Trump influencers' behavior online and elsewhere, Donald Trump is, for better or for worse, our nominee. He is the only chance we have to prevent another Joe Biden term. He is, however, going to be in arguably a more difficult position than he was in 2020, running as an incumbent on an incredible economic record. However, he also did have to contend with the COVID-19 pandemic that left people saying, hey, we need a change. Donald Trump led to hundreds of thousands of people dying. The media was out of control. But now there is one statistic, and just one. There is one poll, just one, that gives me pause about Trump's chances in 2024. We'll discuss that coming up next here on The Dan O'Donnell Show. Hey, It is Dan O'Donnell for my amazing friends at Built-Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. Built-Right's New Year's sale is extended, so shop where the O'Donnell family shops. Now more than ever, it is the time to support Built-Right, a locally and family-owned business for 4 generations and 96 years strong. Built-Right's 45,000 square foot showroom has thousands of items in stock, plus 500 mattresses. Special and custom orders are faster in 2024. You'll find hard to find, affordable, better quality, USA-made, small-scale, Amish-made, and real solid wood furniture, and much more. Plus, the lowest prices on popular brands like Smith Brothers, Elran, Temple, Decorest, Ultra Comfort, Heirloom, Restonic, and Therapeutic. Free in-store design services, best place to shop, and winner of the Home Furnishings Association Retailer of the Year. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built-Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Buck here with Buck Buckley's Total Basement Finishing. Did you know that drywall is not the only material for finishing basements? It's actually the worst material you can use. It's the old way, and it actually soaks up water like SpongeBob. The old way is the wrong way. We do it the right way with our patented materials that are mold, moisture, and mildew resistant. Call or visit Buck Buckley's TotalBasementFinishing.com today. We'll take you from basement to beautiful.
Hard work and dreams lead to success, but easily filing your taxes with TurboTax and Credit Karma doesn't hurt either. Make filing taxes a walk in the park, because we'll pre-fill your info for you so you can file quickly and confidently. Winner! Get the peace of mind that comes with expert help. Let's go! Being powered by TurboTax means you're backed by the leading tax preparer, and we'll show you all your filing options up front so there are no surprises. File your taxes on Intuit Credit Karma today. Expert help not available with all products. Guarantee details available at turbotax.com/guarantees.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95 and comes with our Feel Better or Your Money Back guarantee. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. Former President Donald Trump is now, we say now he's the presumptive nominee. Really, he's been the presumptive nominee since, I would say, exactly April 4th, 2023, when Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg announced that he was indicting Trump on easily the flimsiest of the 4 cases against Trump. They are trying to make a state crime out of what allegedly would be a federal crime, and they're turning it into a felony by waving a magic wand so as to get around statute of limitations issues. As soon as that happened, it was my very strong contention that the die was cast. And we'll get into that, including a soundbite from none other than Tucker Carlson from about a month and a half ago that perfectly encapsulates why there was just no chance for DeSantis or Haley or any other Republican to beat Donald Trump. I mean, the base went back to him in a big way as soon as the quote-unquote deep state started striking back and engaging in lawfare against Trump. But the one statistic that gives me pause is, in fact, related to that. 58%. 58%. 58% of all voters say they would not vote for Trump for president in 2024 if he is convicted of a felony crime by a jury. 61% say they would not vote for Trump if he is currently serving time in prison. Amongst independents, that number is 55%. These are the people who a significant number do need to move over to Trump. And on economics, on the fundamental Ronald Reagan question, are you or are you not better off than you were 4 years ago? They're going to vote for Trump. If all things were equal, if Trump was not the uniquely polarizing candidate he was, they'd be voting for him. 55% of them say they are not going to vote for Trump if he's convicted of a crime. Now, the question I have for all Trump supporters who are convinced, and I'm seeing this already. We've got a comment on the YouTube page from Gary. I figured I should try to listen to Dan again, but would turn him off as soon as he started bashing Trump or talked about his school board or sports. Didn't last but 5 seconds. School board? The Whitnall School Board? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We've got a stick to the sports crowd, and also Dan is a never Trumper crowd. But here's a question for the Garys, assuming that he is still listening. And what I've learned in my many years of doing this show is the people who have to tell you they're not listening to you have to tell you they're not listening to you multiple times, which, hey, folks, don't listen to me all you want. If you are going to continue to be that loyal of a listener that you're actually interacting with the host, by all means, turn off the radio. But I've got a question for the Garys and for anyone else. How do you convince those 55% of independent voters? More than likely, you need at least 51, 52% of them. How do you convince them to vote for Trump? How do you, once Trump is convicted, and believe me, folks, Trump is going to be convicted. This is almost a certainty. While nobody can predict the future, what do you think a Manhattan jury believed E. Jean Carroll when she couldn't tell you what year she was sexually assaulted by Trump, what time of the year, what month? Anytime. None of the people she supposedly told right after this happened could remember either. Not a single one. We sort of settled on 1996 for the alleged time of this assault in a busy Bergdorf's dressing room where nobody seemed to hear this go on. A jury found Trump liable for sexual assault and defamation. This trial, by the way, is simply about how much in damages on top of the $5 million Trump already has to pay this obvious liar. He's going to have to pay. A New York jury believed her. What do you think the likelihood is that a Washington, D.C. federal jury, Washington, D.C., remember, votes 90 to 95% Democrat, is going to believe Trump, or is going to believe that he, in fact, incited an insurrection and tried to undermine democracy and destroy democracy as we know it, when that charge is brought and that charge is tried in a couple of months? So my question is very, very simple. How do you convince the independent voter to vote for Trump after he's been convicted? This is the only thing that gives me pause. On balance, is Trump the stronger candidate than Joe Biden? Obviously. Now, I would have preferred someone who could better draw the contrast between just how infirm and mentally out of it Joe Biden is. Did you see what over the weekend, there was a montage that they played on Morning Joe this morning of Trump misspeaking. He said Nikki Haley was in charge of security on January 6th. He obviously meant Nancy Pelosi. They played a couple of times where he said President Barack Obama instead of President Joe Biden. So he's misspeaking. They're trying to make the case that Donald Trump is every bit as mentally not with it as Joe Biden is. Good luck with that. But again, this is what they're going with. When you have to show, hey, the other guy is almost as dementia-addled as our guy, you're probably not entering 2024 in a position of strength. But Democrats are factoring on this not mattering. They're factoring on Joe Biden being a complete non-entity, essentially as he was in 2020, turning this into a referendum on Trump and a referendum on a convicted felon. So my question, and I will take your phone calls, I will take your live stream comments, I'll take your texts, all of it coming up after this break, is how do you change people's minds when you have got 58% of total voters, including 55% of independents, who you need? How do you convince them to vote for somebody after he has been convicted of a crime? 414-799-1130 or 1-800-838-9476. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show. Dan O'Donnell here for my friends at the Lynch family of dealerships. With 2023 in our rear view mirror, we've turned the corner into a brand new year. Maybe it's time to start the new year with a new to you SUV, car or truck. Whatever it is, Lynch has it. Cold weather creates weak batteries, bald tires, salty interiors, and let's be honest, your car may have seen better days. Lynch has new Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, Rams, Chevys, Buicks, GMCs, and Fords, and on top of that, they've got a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles that come with the Lynch Protected Peace of Mind and Lynch certification that includes a 168-point inspection and 10-day, 500-mile satisfaction guarantee exchange policy. Rev up the savings at the Lynch family of dealerships and cruise into the new year with financing as low as 0% APR or up to $6,500 in rebates on select new vehicles. Over 1,000 vehicles in stock. Find your ride today at shoplynch.com.
Team up with the Brewers for an epic company event this season. With the Brewers Group Outing, you can trade weekday meetings for a fun-filled day at American Family Field, featuring options like tailgate spaces, all-inclusive areas, seating blocks, and much more. Plus, Brewers ticket representatives will make planning your event simple, as they'll be your personal concierge while booking your outing. Start planning your company outing today at brewers.com/groups.
Hey guys, welcome to the Home Box Stop. Ready for those new kitchen cabinets and countertops? Okay, well, let's get you guys going. Inches, centimeters, inches, right?
Right.
Is this your first time? Oh, no. Been here for years. Actually, in light bulbs. I'm covering for Karen. She took the week off. One sec. No worries. The computer does all the work.
Customer assistance to light bulbs.
Oh, that's me, BRB.
Yeah, let's go.
Granite Plus?
Hurry, here she comes.
Hi, I'm Laz with Granite Plus. Countertops and cabinets is what we do. As a meticulously detailed local fabricator, say goodbye to the middleman and upgrade your home with real factory direct savings. Homeowners, flippers, contractors, why would you pay more? Go to GranitePlusUSA.com, that's GranitePlusUSA.com, or visit any of our Milwaukee area showrooms and start saving today.
This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. The Energy Star ratings for windows are getting a lot tougher to get the tax credit, so you're going to want to take advantage of. Fortunately, we still have options that will qualify you for those tax credits. Now, I can sit here and talk benefits of this product or what's great about that product. So can everybody else. But what a lot of operations can't do is, with complete confidence, stand behind the crew that's going to be on that next job. Talk is cheap, I get it, but our people are exceptional. How do I know? Because me and Vito handpick every single person that makes our team. Some make the cut, a lot don't. And that's why you can be confident that the windows we install for you will be top quality, installed right, and that you're going to get great service. And that's never failed us. So for your home's new windows, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Here's a penny for your thoughts. There's about 11,000 tire-related crashes every year.
Mostly due to driving around on underinflated, beat-up, worn-out tires with low tread.
A couple of clicks at richlawns.com will get you scheduled for a free tire tread test.
But if you're pressed for time, there's an old trick we use in the tire industry that'll tell you if you need tires.
And that's free, too.
My dad showed me, who learned it from his dad, who learned it from someone else way back in 1964.
Ah, yes. The old penny test.
Yep, just place a penny head first,
as in upside down,
into the groove of your tire. Now, if you can see the top of Lincoln's head, you're due for tires.
And hey, if the free penny test frazzles you, book an appointment at richlawns.com.
If your tires are good,
No harm, no foul, because it won't cost you a penny. Be safe, buckle up, and hang. Always make sure you've got good tread on your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Rich Lawns. You're
due for service.
Such a refreshing change. Rich Lawns.
It's obvious. The unthinkable continues. Most Americans know something very wrong is happening. People in charge keep telling you that everything's fine and to stop noticing. But you know better. That's why self-reliant folks are investing in emergency food storage. And you should too. My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, are the ones you can trust. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $200 on each 3-month food kit you purchase. My Patriot Supply also sells solar generators, gravity-powered water filters, off-grid room heaters for when the power goes out, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your items ship that same day and arrive quickly on your doorstep in unmarked boxes. Go to mypatriotsupply.com today. Time is running out to prepare for what's coming. mypatriotsupply.com.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like Deep Cuts, featuring deep album tracks from iconic artists like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, The Who, The Stones, and more. Try something new for 2024. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search Deep Cuts, and listen now. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
The next generation is here. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Anything for you.
Totally thought of a boomer joke in there. Don't be scared of the next generation, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. We have YouTube. Dan is so into himself. Please do not use Dan when Mark is sick. That comes from Linda. I am willing to wager $1,000 right now that Linda is above the age of 62. I don't know what it is. I am going to get a theory together on why it is the boomers, especially if you contradict any conventional boomer wisdom at all. They are so ungodly threatened by, and we've seen this 2 straight statewide elections. We could not go with someone who wasn't a boomer, and we got smoked in 2 straight statewide elections. I don't know what it is. I think the same generational dynamics were in part at play here, but the reality was there was just no way Trump was going to lose. As soon as he got indicted, the race was over. The base went back to him, and Trump has been essentially the Republican frontrunner. Nobody thought, remember, Trump was going to face any serious challenge for the 2024 Republican nomination until the deep disappointment of the Republican midterms in 2022, which incidentally, Democrats did not nationalize around the issue of abortion. They nationalized around the issue of, do you want the party of Donald Trump? Moreover, they made it abundantly clear in a number of Senate races and a number of key House races who they wanted. And those were the candidates who were closest aligned to Trump. They were the quote-unquote Trumpiest candidates. Republicans lost every single one of those races. Every single one. That, more than anything, was the reason that Republicans don't have the United States Senate right now. And I think people forget that. Now, I would argue that Democrats did the exact same thing in a whole ton of indictments coming down at around the exact same time in the spring of 2023, all but ensuring that Trump was going to be the nominee. The reality is those indictments and the almost certainty of a conviction makes it far less likely that people are going to vote for Trump. And my question is very simple. How do you overcome that? Leslie in Kenosha up first on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Hi, Dan.
Why is it that you don't quote the poll that just came out yesterday, I think, that Trump is ahead with independents by 11 points?
Because polls are a snapshot in time. Hold on a sec. Yeah, I didn't realize you had a second point. Polls are a snapshot in time, Leslie, and coming up in about 3-4 months, they're going to be largely irrelevant because the question by design is not going to be, do you prefer Trump or Biden? It's going to be, do you want someone as president who's been convicted of a crime? So essentially, there's what's known as a black swan event. And typically a black swan event in markets is something that's totally unpredicted, that just shakes up everything. Like 9/11 is the ultimate black swan event. Well, here comes a black swan event that everyone sort of knows is coming. So while Trump is doing great now, and please don't misunderstand, I believe if this election were on the issues, were on Joe Biden's performance as president, Trump wins in a landslide. This election, however, is not going to be that. So the polls that are taken now, I'm not going to say are irrelevant because they give a great picture of where this race is, but where this race is going to be in 4 or 5 months is not the same place. Your second point.
My second point is, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, as far as COVID is concerned, I think Donald Trump, being in business all the years he was, knew that he delegated authority to people that knew something more than he did. In other words, he doesn't have a medical background. He's not a doctor. He's never been a doctor. And I think he didn't realize how crooked the entire bureaucracy was. I think he gave deference to a doctor who had years of experience, and he didn't want to kill anybody. And every time he'd pipe up and say something like, one of the drugs, what was it, ivermectin, he was called an idiot because they only give that to animals. I mean, I don't blame him for trying to go along with the medical establishment. We didn't really know how crooked that medical establishment was with Fauci and his like.
This is true. Ultimately, Leslie, this is going to be irrelevant in a general election. The last thing that Biden is going to do is hit Trump on COVID, because remember, Biden mandated vaccines. Biden would have kept shutdowns going almost indefinitely. Biden and the Democrats were the ones who were proposing all of the strategies that Trump sort of begrudgingly signed on to. Remember, it was, a week into the idea that we might have to shut down the country where Trump finally relented. It was a memo that came out of Britain that we now know was based on completely faulty science that showed that even if we locked down, even if we had a stiff lockdown, remember, this was from the guy who said we need to lock down everybody, a British scientist, and he's caught sneaking out of quarantine to go visit his girlfriend. Remember that guy? Dr. Lockdown, they called him. Well, he had a paper that was based on completely faulty data because it didn't take into account the number of people who would have died regardless of what we did. The people who were so old and so sick already when the COVID-19 pandemic started that they were going to die. He didn't take that into account. He said something like 4 million Americans were going to die even if we locked down in a very strict manner. 10 million could die if we don't. Well, that spooked pretty much everyone, including Trump. We now know that that was a huge mistake. DeSantis, to his credit, reopened everything in Florida almost immediately against the federal government's, including Trump's, wishes. And the idea, though, that Trump was sort of pushed by the medical establishment is completely true. It's not going to be relevant. It's not going to be an issue moving forward. And this is the ultimate point that I'm trying to make. Nothing is going to be an issue in this campaign except Trump. Biden is not going to be a factor. Everything is going to be, and there was a tweet that Biden put out after Trump's town hall a little more than a year ago. It was that infamous CNN town hall that led to the CNN president, Chris Licht, being fired because his staff revolted. How dare you platform the former president and current leading Republican candidate? How dare you put him on the worldwide leader in news? We're just not going to allow people to hear Trump at all. This is the media strategy. But after that town hall, Biden put out, or Biden's people, more accurately stated, put out a quote that perfectly encapsulates. They put out a tweet that said, folks, it's simple. Do you want 4 more years of that? And this is going to be the question that they want asked. Do you want 4 more years of that? Not are you or are you not better off than you were 4 years ago? On Friday here on this show, we systematically proved by every objective personal economic indicator you are not. Nobody is. Because things cost so much more. Everything costs so much more. And now interest rates are at their highest rate in a long, long time because we tried to get inflation of Biden's making out of the system. But that's not going to be the primary issue. The primary issue is going to be, folks, do you want 4 more years of that? Coming up next, we will name the unhinged liberal of the day. We'll check in with Dave Spano as well. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show, classical conservatism, contemporary style.
Winter in Wisconsin offers 2 options, hibernate or activate. For those who choose the latter,
warm up your goggles with
playing the nationwide Cold Hard Cash Contest 9 times each weekday on News Talk 1130 WISN. Listen for a keyword, enter it at WISN's website, and take your shot at the hourly prize of $1,000.
The Cold Hard Cash Contest is presented by Saturn Lounge, helping you grow your business with strategic creative that inspires your audience to act. Improve your marketing. Visit SaturnLounge.com.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get the power of doing it right. Detailed project proposals, excellent customer service, and trusted professionals who get the job done on time and on budget. The power of experience. We're kings of the scaffolding and pros with the stucco. We've been there, done that. Get your project started at CertaPro.com and get the power of pro.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-Do.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
The following takes place in the home of a Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric customer.
Yeah, these ducks are filthy. This family is breathing in all of this? Absolutely, Seth. Causing allergies and illness. Gotta get your ducts cleaned every 5 years. So you stop inhaling harmful particulates. Merle, go scout out the rest. He's our secret asset. I'll fire up our high-powered duct cleaning truck. This dust, dander, and detritus doesn't stand a chance. Report? Exactly what I thought. We'll have them breathing clean, healthy air in no time. Okay, truck is ready. Men, Merle's a squirrel. Get ready to save this good family from the health ravages of dirty ducks.
Schedule your Capital Duct cleaning today online at callcapitalcares.com.
DraftKings, the leader in fantasy sports, just dropped a brand new fantasy app, Pick 6, and getting started is simple. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and sign up using code GREATESTPICK. Just pick between 2 and 6 NFL players. Choose if they're going to have more or less of a stat. For example, will a player have more or less than 100 yards rushing, more or less than 2 touchdowns? Track your lineup and compete against others for a chance at huge cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and sign up with code GREATESTPICK. That's code GREATESTPICK. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Approved local P6 states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Valid only in states where DraftKings Pick 6 operates. For up-to-date list of states, please visit dkng.co/pick6states. Void where prohibited. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com.
Want to make your yard the envy of the neighborhood? Tune in to Brett Ochtenhagen's Seasonal Services Designer Yard Show to learn landscaping secrets. Visit seasonalservices.com and listen on News Talk 1130 WISN, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. Here for you all year round. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Hi, this is David Wilhelm, and here I go again talking about Marvin Windows and Doors. It's our lead brand, so of course I'm going to tout Marvin Windows and Doors attributes. But when you take a look at the quality of the products that Marvin puts out, can you blame me? When it comes to exceptional efficiency and personalization, Marvin Windows are at the top of the list. Whether it's casement or awning style, single or double hung windows, advanced engineering and the highest quality construction make Marvin Windows incredibly durable, versatile, and easy to use. You can be assured Marvin Windows and Doors are built around you. And Lisbon Storm Screen and Door is one of Wisconsin's largest Marvin Window and Door dealers. For your best selection, choose your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Find out more at lisbonstorm.com.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
Dick in Cable, Wisconsin. Dick, how you doing? Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Thank you very much, Dan. It's nice speaking with you. I listen to you almost every day.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. Do appreciate it. What's up?
I'd like to know the date of the poll that you're quoting here for the independents and people that will vote for him if he's convicted.
Oh, sure. I was quoting a Reuters Ipsos poll from January 17th. It was in the field January 3rd through the 9th. Registered voters, 4,677. 58% say they would not vote for Donald Trump for president if he's been convicted of a felony crime by a jury that includes 55% of independents.
Is that not a snapshot in time?
It is. It is, certainly. Do you think that number is likelier to go up or to go down once Trump is actually convicted of a crime, though?
Number one, I mean, I'm not a big believer in polls in terms of how they're run, but regardless, the only way you could make that, in my opinion, would be an accurate statement. It is when that poll is taken and the time that he actually is convicted of a crime. And I don't disagree with you. I think he probably is going to be convicted of something. And but I'd like to see that same poll at that point in time. And I think it might be something different.
Well, that's actually a very fair analysis, Dick, where in as much as any poll is actually a snapshot in time, any poll is just, okay, here's what people are telling us right now. I think you can make a logical inference that once we go from a hypothetical Trump conviction, and again, this to an actual Trump conviction, we're gonna talk. I've got obviously much more to say about this after the top of the hour. We do have to get moving though. What this comes down to is, again, folks, you have to get past your own confirmation bias. We have to stop looking at this as talk radio listeners, as avowed Trump supporters, as registered Republicans or avowed conservatives. You have to look at this from the average person's perspective. And we will do that coming up after the top of the hour. Right now, though, the unhinged liberal of the day.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Today's unhinged liberal of the day is New Hampshire Democrat Senator Maggie Hassan, who is sort of going against the narrative that Trump is this uniquely horrible threat to democracy by going on the Sunday morning shows yesterday and saying, yeah, Trump's bad, but really every Republican is a threat to democracy.
Regardless of which Republican wins the nomination, whether it is Haley or DeSantis or Trump, they are all committed to rolling this country backwards, to undermining democracy. So you look at President Trump, who advocates violence. He just did it in New Hampshire and Claremont a few weeks ago, calling opponents vermin, advocating violence. He encouraged violence on January 6th. He's an election denier. He brags about appointing the Supreme Court justices who have rolled back critical rights for America's women. And yet, Nikki Haley says she's voting for him. Ron DeSantis says he's voting for him. So what we have is a group of Republicans who are all aligned with Donald Trump, would all undermine our democracy and ignore the rule of law.
Maggie Hassan, who believes that Trump is this horrible, awful, singular threat to American democracy, but also every other one of her potential political opponents would be just as bad as Trump, sort of giving away the game. She is your unhinged liberal of the day. Time now to bring in Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex Wealth Management. And as we have a presumptive Republican nominee, the rematch is set, Trump v. Biden. What impact is the economy going to have? Because while the stock market keeps setting records, people, Dave, keep telling pollsters that their personal economic situations are far worse off than they were 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's really a good point. But there's two things that I'd like to point out. Number one is that you're going to see a lot of activity from companies because they are adaptable. And even the fact that people aren't where they want to be economically, companies will adapt. And you can see that in the past when the past Republican, when we voted before, Dan. And what we've seen before in the past is that we have presidential elections, we have Federal Reserves. All of that activity certainly has an effect on the way the economy works, and that's what we're going to see in 2024. As we go into the rest of the year, the Federal Reserve and presidential elections will allow the companies to adapt, and we'll see movement in a lot of those stocks.
I want to hit you with some stats I compiled for a column that should be up at some point today at thefederalist.com. Bidenflation is costing the average American family $11,611 per year. That's $968 per month, $223 every week, and $31.81 every single day. Every single day, you are paying an extra $31 in essentially an inflation tax. What do you think that does to the average American household budget, Dave?
Yeah, and really what we have to look at is, are they going to go out and spend? And of course, we all know that 2/3 of the economy is driven by consumer spending. And if it costs more to do those things, it takes money out of their pocket. That is the way they're going to feel. And if they don't feel well about the economy, they're not going to spend. Ironically, we saw a big rally in retail stocks here at the end of the year because people were starting to feel better. And that really was the Federal Reserve trying to tamp down inflation. We'll see what's going to happen in 2024 because I think it's a little overstated that the Federal Reserve is going to get really aggressive and cut 6 times. We don't think that's going to happen. We're going to have to look at the data. We're going to see the quantitative tightening start to taper. We'll see interest rates come down, but not as aggressively as the market thinks.
He is Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex Wealth Management, the website annexwealth.com. Stop on by for a free portfolio review. It's a check of what you own, and it helps you to know why exactly you own it. Dave and I will be recording the latest episode of The Difference. It's the intersection of politics and economics as soon as this show is over. Check it out and subscribe to it on your iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. It's going to be warmer to start the week, but southeast Wisconsin isn't done with the wintry weather. Forecasters are calling for a wintry mix to hit the area tonight and into tomorrow. The mix will start with freezing rain and sleet and eventually become mostly snow, but that transition is expected to hit during the drive to work and school tomorrow morning. Forecasters are expecting a couple more inches of wet, heavy snow to fall, mostly tomorrow morning. Wisconsin Republicans want to ask voters about a new 14-week abortion ban. Several Republican lawmakers Friday introduced a plan that would put a 14-week abortion ban question on the April ballot. State Representative Joel Kitchen says while he's 100% pro-life, he understands that not everyone in Wisconsin is. He said voters should have a say. The plan would have to go through both the state assembly and the state senate before the governor could sign it. Governor Evers on Friday promised he would never sign such a plan. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced the end of his campaign for the Republican presidential nomination and endorsed Donald Trump yesterday. The withdrawal of DeSantis just days before the New Hampshire primary follows a disappointing result in the Iowa caucus, where he finished in second place but trailed Trump by a large margin. In New Hampshire, his numbers were far behind former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and Trump. As recently as last spring, DeSantis was seen as the Republican most likely to stop Trump becoming the nominee for a third straight election. Checking the WISN Sports Scoreboard, the Bucks and Pistons meet up again tonight in Detroit after Milwaukee got past the Pistons on Saturday. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Dan O'Donnell here for my friends at Built-Right Furniture, and Built-Right's New Year's mattress sale is extended. Shop the most unique selection of mattresses with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Choose from the best brands made in the USA, including Heirloom, Restonic, Therapeutic, Schiffman, Comfort Sleep, and many more. Built-Right always saves you money. Don't make a mistake by ordering online or from an employee-free store. Built-Right makes it easy, and with their legitimate sale prices, you'll get an exceptional value and a great night's sleep, as I do on my Built-Right Heirloom mattress. Built-Right does the research for you. Their team will take the time to help properly fit you, and they'll remove your old mattress too. Plus, free delivery on mattress-only purchases of $799 or more. Shop Built-Right Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. As always, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan O'Donnell sent you to Built-Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
A warm-up is on the way, but it comes along with periods of wet snow, freezing rain, freezing drizzle, and sleet. Roadways are likely to be challenging for a couple of days. High today near 34, overnight 32. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Did you know Discover wants everyone to feel special? That's why with your Discover card, you have access to 24/7 customer service, as well as $0 fraud liability, which means you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply.
This is Michael Lynch from the Lynch Truck Center. We've been working hard sourcing work trucks from all over the country. We currently have over 300 commercial work trucks in stock and ready for your choice of upfit. Our sales team is 100% dedicated to commercial trucks, which means our truck professionals can get you the right truck right now. Our new inventory of Chevrolet, GMC, Isuzu, Hino, not to mention our used inventory, combined with nearly 30 commercial financial lenders, ensures the lowest rates possible for you and the fastest buying experience. Our service center has over 20 dedicated truck bays running 2 shifts, a contact-free sales process, and delivery drivers ready to deliver your truck right to your door. We know your time is important, so we make sure our process is quick and hassle-free. Find your new truck today at lynchtruckcenter.com or stop into the Lynch Truck Center at Highway 36 in Waterford. We won't disappoint you.
Seasonal pricing, frozen ground, dormant diseases and insects make winter a great time to have undesirable trees removed. A Tons of Trees movement. 262-443-4995. CUTNGOtrees.com.
Your nose is for breathing. Your mouth is for eating. And if you're breathing through your mouth, it's not because your body wants to. It's because it has to, because your nose isn't working properly. And although you've lived like this, it's no way to live, and it's having a significant impact on your life. I know you know this, and I know that taking action isn't always convenient. But at Advent, we've done all we can to make changing your life for the better as easy as possible. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. With tens of thousands of our patients, a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, along with a simple 20-minute in-office procedure called balloon sinuplasty, has opened their nasal passages, allowing them to breathe freely through their nose for good. And there's a good chance this procedure can do the same for you. We'll help you breathe through your nose again, and it will change your life.
Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we have represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Hey, my name's Jay Shetty, and I'm the host of On Purpose, the #1 health podcast in the world. Join me this week as I chat with Michelle Obama, a woman of immense strength and grace. Tune in as we navigate through the chapters of her life, uncovering the moments that have contributed to her inspiring story.
What keeps me up are the things that I know. The war in the regions. What is AI going to do?
Listen to On Purpose with Jay Shetty on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Badgers take the lead. Big Ten leading Wisconsin travels to Minnesota to take on the Golden Gophers Tuesday night. Matt LePay shoot-around at 5, tip at 6 on 97.3 The Game.
Texts on our AdventKnows.com talk and text line, 414-799-1130. You can also reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Some great texts, comments, Facebook messages on our live stream. Reminder, we are streaming live via the Dan O'Cam at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, and our YouTube channel, YouTube.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. Like and subscribe so you get a notification every single time we go live. Why don't Republicans make a campaign issue, one texter asks, of the criminal traitor who is in the White House now? They're attempting to do just that, but unfortunately, because that issue is able to be rebutted by, oh yeah, so what? Trump faces 4 separate criminal counts, that becomes a tougher sell. Folks, what I want to hammer home, and I hope you come away, you and I understand what all of this is. It's lawfare. It is manufactured charges. I could make a compelling case. I could write 5,000 words about how none of the criminal cases against Donald Trump actually constitute crimes. Not a single one of them. I could write a similar dissertation on how every single one I can prove, and I think I did. Was it on this show or was it on the Mark Belling show? Maybe we should do that tomorrow on this show. Talk about all of the timing, the purely coincidental timing of the meetings that various prosecutors who are now filing charges against Trump and preparing criminal trials against Trump, all those questionable timings, the questionable timing that they have of those meetings with various White House staffers. What possible reason could Fani Willis, the corrupt Fulton County prosecutor, what possible reason could her lover have with meeting with Biden White House officials right before the charges against Trump in Georgia come down? What possible reason, if not to coordinate things? I did all of the timing on that. I took about an hour and a half running it all down. I understand all this. You understand all of this. Unfortunately, the average voter doesn't pay attention to it. Before we get to any of that, however, the cold hard cash contest word this hour is green. Green, green. You've got until 55 past this hour to go to our website and enter the keyword green. I do want to get to this soundbite because I've been talking about it for the better part of a month and a half now, and I'm not sure, I can't remember actually. It's been so long since this has been in our soundbite rotation. Tucker Carlson talking on either his show on Twitter or a different podcast about why he supported Trump. And you might remember that right after January 6th, as part of the Fox News lawsuit, the Dominion lawsuit, there were texts that Tucker was sending to his then Fox News producers about how much he despises Trump, about how everything Trump touches turns to crap. And Tucker, while he was here in Wisconsin for a MacIver Institute event back in November, admitted, he said, look, I was disillusioned with Trump. I lost faith. And then they started indicting Trump. And this is what he had to say about why the indictments of Trump made him once again a diehard Trump supporter.
I certainly support Trump, I'll tell you that. And I can tell you, I mean, I've always agreed with Trump's policies, always. And I lost friends over it. And I've never really actively supported anybody because it's not my job to actively support people. I watch, you know, I like to watch. But I'm a voyeur.
Yeah.
But I became an active Trump supporter when they raided Mar-a-Lago last summer, the summer of 2022. That can't stand.
No, that can't.
And
that was something.
Agree with Trump on a lot. But even if I disagreed with Trump on a lot, I'd still be a Trump supporter because you cannot allow that. You cannot allow the regime, the president of the United States, to use the Justice Department to knock the front runner out of the race. You can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
So it's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than Biden. It's a question of, do you want to live in a free country with a functioning justice system?
That's exactly
And
right.
so I'm voting for Trump. And if they convict him, I will send him the max donations and I will lead protests. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel.
Because, and by the way, if I thought that he had committed some real crime, I wouldn't feel that way, but he didn't. He and Biden are both found with classified documents at home, along with every other former high-level federal official in history. But only Trump is indicted? Tell me how that works.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And this is why it was essentially fait accompli, why we pretty much didn't need to go through the kabuki theater that was the Republican nominating contest, why it was always going to be Trump, because Tucker, I think, here speaks for millions and millions and millions of Republican voters. And in fact, I'm one of them. However, I'm a little bit more pragmatic in that I think that this is going to have a real impact, even though you and I and Tucker and everybody else understands that these charges are bogus, that they're nonsensical. They are going to have a real world impact. And I still haven't gotten a great answer from anybody, including the Trump campaign people that I talked to just kind of via email, and they have people deployed to Wisconsin, said, how are you successfully able to rebut this? How are you able to not turn this into an issue in voters' minds? The best bet that I think I see is that Trump's convictions need to be immediately appealed to the United States Supreme Court, and I guess you hope that there's an overturning of that conviction on a 6-3 line. Remember, there are only 3 libs on the U.S. Supreme Court, so the decision's not going to be 5-4. And I fundamentally do believe and have believed that throughout 2023, you saw ProPublica, the dark money funded, alleged liberal research investigative reporting site, do nothing but blast the Supreme Court. Not the liberal justices, of course, but the conservative justices. Coincidentally, I'm sure, the one black conservative justice who's ever been on the court, Clarence Thomas, for all his alleged ethical lapses. What this has always been about has been delegitimizing the United States Supreme Court. I believe, so that A, Joe Biden and his administration can just ignore Supreme Court orders, as they've essentially done on student loan debt repayments, and also to delegitimize in the eyes of the American voter if and when the Trump convictions are overturned. I suspect, it is my very strong suspicion, that the one case that's probably not going to go to trial by Election Day is going to be the Mar-a-Lago documents case. It is so complex. There are so many issues that need to be hammered out before this case can actually go to trial. And Trump's team has been trying like heck to delay all of these trials until after the election. Now, of course, all of the Democrats involved in the lawfare need these trials. They need a conviction before Election Day because this is their primary strategy against Trump. So I think the one that he's going to be able to successfully delay is going to be the Mar-a-Lago documents case, but you've still got the January 6th case. Now, the Fulton County, Georgia case is actually imploding right before Fani Willis's eyes. Kudos to, and I forget his name, he was a Trump co-defendant. And I'm actually shocked for all the money Trump has been paying attorneys. Why was it one of his low-level co-defendants who figured out that Fani Willis was corruptly paying herself by hiring her lover to be the special prosecutor, paying him $600,000 in taxpayer funds, and then taking luxurious vacations with him with the money that Fulton County taxpayers are paying him? There's a hearing set for, I believe, February 14th or February 15th on this, whether or not this prosecutor is going to, Nathan Wade is going to have to recuse himself, which I think is almost certain, or whether or not there's going to be a deeper investigation into what it was exactly that Fani Willis was doing. So this case is sort of collapsing. The New York case has always been sort of nonsensical on its face. I mean, what they're charging Trump with, the state government does not have jurisdiction. They're attempting to, because no federal prosecutor would take up the charges that, in fact, even the prior Manhattan District Attorney, Cyrus Vance, who is about as anti-Trump as it gets, wouldn't bring those charges that Alvin Bragg did. And they elevated them to the level of a felony because were they misdemeanors, and they were clearly misdemeanors, the statute of limitations would have run. They wouldn't have been able to bring that charge to begin with. So I think that conviction is almost certain to be overturned just based on prosecutorial overreach and the fact that what is being charged is not actually something that a state court can decide. That said, do I think the Manhattan court system is going to throw this out? No, because they all have the same objective, and that's to get Trump. But the one that you've got to worry about, therefore, is going to be the January 6th case. And as I think a lot of conservatives suggested right as January 6th happened, this is going to be their narrative from here on out. It's all January 6th. Trump is an enemy of democracy. Trump is an enemy of democracy. Democracy, democracy, democracy. It's about as, well, frankly, it's about as Orwellian as it gets, and people misuse that phrase all the time. But this is literally Orwellian stuff. This is exactly what Big Brother and the party did in the novel. It was to make people whipped into this frenzy over who is the resistance leader, who is always in the other country, who's always plotting his return. Oh, my gosh, the resistance leader from Big Brother. Google that bleep, producer Dave. He was, hold on. Goldstein, the leader of the Brotherhood. Yep, Emmanuel Goldstein. That's it. Emmanuel Goldstein is described as, nobody knows if he's alive or dead, but to Big Brother and the party, he's always out there secretly plotting, right? That's Trump. Trump is Emmanuel Goldstein. So all of the treachery against the party flows from Goldstein. This is Orwellian type stuff, that Emmanuel Goldstein is out there to try to topple democracy. Well, really, Trump, Emmanuel Trumpstein, is out there as any other candidate would be. I mean, Trump is literally the former president of the United States, and he's the leading candidate for the Republican nomination. Yet he is this unique, singular threat to democracy, right? Emmanuel Goldstein is always out there plotting. But here's the thing. Every other Republican is just as bad as Donald Trump, if not worse, right? Every other Republican is doing Goldstein's bidding. And this is the narrative that we get. And this is the thing that sort of gives away the game, that there's no real threat to democracy with Donald Trump. How did Donald Trump end democracy the last time? Donald Trump largely couldn't get much done because of an entrenched bureaucracy that was out to undermine him pretty much every step of the way. Look no further than the Russia collusion investigation, which dominated news coverage of the bulk of his presidency. This is somebody who the Big Brother supporters in national media are terrified is going to weaponize the United States military and the quote-unquote deep state and start assassinating his political enemies. I mean, this is the hysterical nonsense that we're treated to on a daily basis. But the point that I hope I am able to hammer home is that you and I understand this is nonsense. You and I understand that this is positively Orwellian stuff. What does the average voter think? The average voter would never listen to a show like this. The average voter probably has no idea who Nikki Haley is. The average voter goes on with his or her life. They're far more interested. The average voter can far more easily name the 4 teams remaining in the NFL playoffs, or whether or not Taylor Swift was at the last Kansas City Chiefs game, than who are the Republicans remaining in the nominating field. That's the issue. We don't necessarily decide elections. Unfortunately, they do.
Classical conservatism.
Contemporary style.
This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Hard work, dedication, and dreams. These are the keystones of success. But easily filing your taxes with TurboTax and Credit Karma doesn't hurt either. And getting your max refund guarantee definitely doesn't hurt. But let others think you did a lot of hard work to file your taxes when in reality, it was a walk in the park. No, you literally filed while walking your dog in the park. Winner! Because some key info is pre-filled for you, so you can file quickly and confidently like the boss that you are. So give yourself the peace of mind that comes with getting expert help, because you're going places. Let's go. And make tax season feel like it's award season with easy filing. Yeah! Know that you're backed by the leading tax preparer, TurboTax, and we'll show you all your filing options up front, so there are no surprises. Feel accomplished and confident that your taxes are done right. File an Intuit Credit Karma today. Ah, yeah. Expert help not available with all products. Guarantee details available at turbotax.com/guarantees.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who is experiencing shoulder, hip, or knee pain and a total joint replacement may be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
It's 2024. Do you honestly think the government is looking out for you? Do they have your back? We have political chaos, global wars, no border protection, and our leadership telling you about pronouns and electric cars. It's time to take a hard look at protecting yourself and your family. It's time to visit the Oxford Gold Group. Call the Oxford Gold Group at 833-995-GOLD and order the investment guide or make a purchase of precious metals and get up to $2,500 in free gold. 833-995-GOLD.
Attorney Joe Cordell. Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
Whether you're a winter fanatic or a spring enthusiast, Door County offers activities you'll love, and Pheasant Park Resort offers a special you'll really love. Book 2 nights and get a 3rd night free. Good through May 16th. Enjoy winter, spring, or book a stay for both seasons. Ice skating, snowmobiling, cross-country skiing, ice fishing and sledding, or golf, boating, fishing, hiking, biking. Sister Bay and Door County has you covered. And Pheasant Park Resort has your 3rd night covered. Visit pheasantparkresort.com to reserve.
Conservative thought, not just talk. The more you understand that Trump is simply Emmanuel Goldstein to the left, the more you'll understand exactly what's going on. Emmanuel Goldstein nobody's quite sure if Emmanuel Goldstein in the novel 1984 is alive or dead. But to Big Brother, he's always out there. He's plotting his revenge. He is the great threat from which all other threats emanate. I want you to listen. Maggie Hassan, New Hampshire Senator, Democrat, was our unhinged liberal of the day. And I want you to listen to how she talks about Donald Trump and all other Republicans as threats to our very fabric of being. And I want you to, within your mind, if you've read Orwell's 1984, great. If not, just imagine the character of Emmanuel Goldstein that Big Brother uses to whip people into a terrified frenzy, to support Big Brother through the fear of what Emmanuel Goldstein might do if he's ever allowed back into power.
Regardless of which Republican wins the nomination, whether it is Haley or DeSantis or Trump, they are all committed to rolling this country backwards, to undermining democracy. So you look at President Trump, who advocates violence. He just did it in New Hampshire and Claremont a few weeks ago, calling opponents vermin, advocating violence. He encouraged violence on January 6th. He's an election denier. He brags about appointing the Supreme Court justices who have rolled back critical rights for America's women. And yet, Nikki Haley says she's voting for him. Ron DeSantis says he's voting for him. So what we have is a group of Republicans who are all aligned with Donald Trump, would all undermine our democracy and ignore the rule of law.
All right, here's the first time in 1984 where Emmanuel Goldstein is mentioned. It's on page 5. The programs of the 2 Minutes Hate. And do you know what the 2 Minutes Hate was? So the 2 Minutes Hate was at the earliest chapter of 1984. All these people get together and they set up chairs. You're introduced to the main character, getting ready for the 2 Minutes Hate. And the face of Big Brother appears on the screen, and then the face of the resistance leader, Emmanuel Goldstein. And for 2 minutes, the crowd whips itself into a frenzy over how much they hate Goldstein and how much it's a way of pledging their fealty to Big Brother. It's a way of pledging their fealty to the party. This is from Orwell. The programs of the 2 Minutes Hate varied from day to day, but there was none in which Goldstein was not the principal figure. He was the primal traitor, the earliest defiler of the party's purity. All subsequent crimes against the party, all treacheries, acts of sabotage, heresies, deviations sprang directly out of his teaching. Somewhere or other, he was still alive and hatching his conspiracies, perhaps somewhere beyond the sea, under the protection of his foreign paymasters, perhaps even, so it was occasionally rumored, in some hiding place in Oceania itself. Does that not sound exactly how the left views Trump? He is the earliest traitor. All conspiracies, all threats to the republic flow from Trump. That's exactly what Maggie Hassan was saying. Now, the issue is not people like us, folks. The fact that we can even conceptualize Trump as Goldstein, Biden as Big Brother, Democrats as the party, and all of this means we're thinking far deeper about politics than the average person. But what about that average person? And people are commenting and texting on our adventknows.com talk and text line saying, well, Dan, you can't reward Democrats doing this. I'm not saying rewarding it. I am telling you what is. I am telling you what is likely to happen. What is likely to happen is a whole lot of the people are going to be just like those in Orwell's 84 who take part in the 2 minutes hate. They are whipped up into a frenzy by all of the tales of treachery of Emmanuel Goldstein, real or imagined. This is why propaganda is so incredibly effective. And the question has got to be, how do we counter that? To say nothing of the fact that mail-in ballots and Democrat ballot harvesting is now 4 years old. I mean, this is now a part of elections. How do we combat this? It's my strong suspicion we need 2,000 paid, for lack of a better term, ballot mules on the ground to engage in the exact same thing that Democrats are doing on college campuses and in inner cities in rural parts of Wisconsin and every other state. I mean, my goodness, if it were me, I would have get out the vote representatives at every gun show in America. You have got all sorts of people here in this state who I believe could be activated but haven't been. Right now, Democrats are activating the average voter, the average person who will turn out every 4 years, or maybe even less frequently. All they're doing is using their data, using the money that they're just taking in hand over fist to micro-target people who all they need to do is to get a ballot in their hands. They've got someone who shows up at their door and says, hey, I can help you fill out that ballot. Of course, the courts dutifully comply and say, well, you don't need to actually fill out a witness address. Just get that ballot to the clerk. The clerk will take care of it. What's our plan to counter that? And then in the realm of convincing people, all right, well, Donald Trump had a much better presidency on balance than did Joe Biden. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? The answer to that is going to be, yeah, but Trump is a convicted felon. Trump, Emmanuel Goldstein, we finally got him. And I believe that's a very difficult thing to overcome. I'm not saying impossible. I'm not saying impossible. If the election was held today, it is my strong suspicion Trump would win, and Trump would win by a bigger margin than people think. But the election isn't going to be held today. It's going to be held 10 months from now. And 10 months from now, you have got a whole lot of stuff that is going to happen. We're going to switch gears. I suspect I'm going to be talking about this when I fill in for Mark Belling this afternoon. Republicans want to go to referendum on abortion. Is that a great idea? We'll discuss coming up next. Dan O'Donnell here for my friends at Mander Collision and Glass. I talk all the time about how Mander is your best decision after a collision or for windshield repair. But here's customer Sarah, who writes, I went to Mander Glass in Muskego after getting a large crack in my windshield. They were able to get me in for an appointment quickly, and they were able to replace my windshield in just a few hours. The end result looks great. Very happy with the service and friendliness friendliness of the staff. Would recommend. Thanks so much for sharing that, Sarah. And in fact, I just had almost the exact same experience with Mander Glass myself. I got a small crack, which turned into a large crack, and the team at Mander took care of me with the professional and courteous service that you can only get from a family-owned business like Mander. Sarah and I know what you should too. Mander truly is your best decision after a collision.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Experience Brewers baseball like a VIP with a 2024 ticket plan. On sale now. Enjoy the season to its fullest with exclusive rewards, big savings on Brewers tickets, and seats to every can't-miss moment. Get on board at brewers.com/ticket plans.
This is Michael Lynch from the Lynch Truck Center. We've been working hard sourcing work trucks from all over the country. We currently have over 300 commercial work trucks in stock and ready for your choice of upfit. Our sales team is 100% dedicated to commercial trucks, which means our truck professionals can get you the right truck right now. Our new inventory of Chevrolet, GMC, Isuzu, Hino, not to mention our used inventory, combined with nearly 30 commercial financial lenders, ensures the lowest rates possible for you and the fastest buying experience. Our service center has over 20 dedicated truck bays running 2 shifts, a contact-free sales process, and delivery drivers ready to deliver your truck right to your door. We know your time is important, so we make sure our process is quick and hassle-free. Find your new truck today at lynchtruckcenter.com or stop into the Lynch Truck Center at Highway 36 in Waterford. We won't disappoint you.
Are you sick of living with outdated, worn-out countertops but are unsure of who to trust with the job? This is Eric from Granite Direct saying we're here to help. From humble beginnings more than 15 years ago, Granite Direct has built a reputation as the go-to place for natural stone and quartz countertops. From the moment you walk in the door, you'll start to experience the Granite Direct difference. Our knowledgeable, no-pressure sales team will guide you through the countless options and answer all your questions along the way. And you'll leave confident that you've made the right choice. Then peering out into our shop, you'll not only notice the state-of-the-art machinery, but expert craftsmen inspecting and putting on the finishing touches, making sure every job is just right. Then the day arrives. You look out your window to see a Granite Direct truck in your driveway. That's when one of our experienced install crews, treating your house like their own, expertly install your new tops, turning your vision into reality. Look, we're not super fancy, but we love what we do, and we're really good at it. If you're ready to make a change, we're ready to help. Where technology meets craftsmanship, we're Granite Direct.
Hey, Sean Hannity here, talking with the only real estate agent in your market I recommend, Justin Hoffman of RE/MAX Realty Pros. So now that the market is normalizing again, how's that going to impact home selling right now?
Great question, Sean. As it normalizes, competition steps up. It's not as simple as putting a for sale sign up and hoping a bidding war is created. You need a true market expert like myself, like my team. We know how to price, we know how to market, and we know how to get top dollar.
So is now the time to sell?
Right now is absolutely the time to sell if you want top dollar. We have interest rates that are higher than they've ever been in 20 plus years, and we're going to see more competition. Get the home on the market, beat the market to the punch, and let's get it sold fast for the most amount of money.
Great update. Thank you for keeping us informed. You can give Justin a call right now at 414-604-1454 or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 500 five-star reviews.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Nothing says more about a home builder than the homes that they build.
Hey, my name's Jay Shetty, and I'm the host of On Purpose, the #1 health podcast in the world. Join me this week as I chat with Michelle Obama, a woman of immense strength and grace. Tune in as we navigate through the chapters of her life, uncovering the moments that have contributed to her inspiring story.
What keeps me up are the things that I know. The war in the regions. What is AI going to do?
Listen to On Purpose with Jay Shetty on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Assembly Republicans have introduced a bill calling for a binding statewide referendum on whether abortion would be banned after 14 weeks of pregnancy. There would still be exceptions for rape and incest. There's a public hearing scheduled for this afternoon. Governor Evers has already said he is going to veto this. Would it ever come before his desk, which I think is 50-50 at best. I haven't really heard much support in the state Senate for this. This is an idea that U.S. Senator Ron Johnson has been championing really since the moment that Roe v. Wade was overturned. He said, look, let's put it to the people. What exactly do Wisconsinites want? How do we want to have abortion work? Now, you might remember that abortion is currently legal again after a Dane County Circuit Court judge unilaterally ruled that Wisconsin's abortion statute, which is conveniently titled abortion, actually doesn't refer to abortion at all, but rather feticide, the act of killing an unborn child by someone other than the mother. For example, if, let's say, a pregnant mother dies in a drunk driving crash, the driver who hits her is charged with feticide, is charged with killing the unborn child as well as killing the mother in the crash. This also undercuts the narrative that liberals have built up that an unborn child isn't actually a child at all, but rather just kind of a clump of cells until some magic point, which they can't quite define, when it does actually become an unborn human being. Nonetheless, after that ruling, Planned Parenthood resumed operations in Wisconsin. I think everybody in the universe believes that the United States, or rather the Wisconsin Supreme Court, is going to rule on this and almost certainly is going to reinstate Wisconsin's abortion law, so to speak, pre-Dobbs v. Jackson, the decision that overturned Roe v. Wade. The question, of course, is what the heck are Republicans thinking? We're better off when we're not talking about abortion. I think pretty much everybody understands this, correct? That when we're talking about economic issues, when we're talking about out-of-control crime, when we're talking about anything other than the issue that did, in fact, galvanize a whole lot of women in the state Supreme Court race, I think much more so than anything else was the idea that liberals would be able to take over the court for the first time in more than a decade. That's what propelled Janet Protasewicz to that big win. We also had, admittedly, and I like Dan Kelly quite a bit, but he was not the best candidate. He had already lost statewide. He wasn't a great candidate. He lost by 10 points in 2020. And then with $100 million or whatever it is that flowed into the state, I believe Janet Protasewicz had $60 million in her coffers. There was just no way that Kelly was ever going to overcome that. I get that. But the abortion issue is clearly something, well, it's not, it doesn't have an impact at least a real measurable one on swing voters. I think swing voters, more likely than not, the great squishy middle, are more likely to be pro-choice than not. And I believe the calculation here by Assembly Republicans is that, all right, well, they clearly want some abortions, and 14 weeks is a reasonable cutoff for legalized abortion. While I think the overwhelming majority of Republicans are pro-life and would say, no, we don't want we don't want abortions at all, ever. Politics is about recognizing where the voting public is, and it's about compromising and holding your nose even on issues that you might find abhorrent. For example, I think marijuana legalization is the dumbest thing we could possibly do. There are clear and increasingly discovered links between marijuana and severe mental illness, especially schizophrenia. However, I recognize fully that I am in the minority on this particular issue, that even younger Republicans clearly want legalized abortion or legalized marijuana, as well as legalizing abortion. This is something that I think Republicans have to swallow in the form of a bitter electoral pill, that we are on the wrong side of the American people on two critical issues. That said, Evers is not going to allow Republicans to take away this as a wedge issue. So let's say there's a binding referendum on the ballot for November. Let's say 14 weeks is the cutoff. Would that galvanize liberals to vote on the idea that Republicans are trying to take women's rights away? No. Because Republicans would say, look, we're allowing you to have your say. Do you want abortions up to 14 weeks? We're perfectly reasonable on this issue. Evers is going to veto that because he wants the idea that abortion is on the ballot. Women's rights are on the ballot. And even if it's not, even if the Wisconsin Supreme Court steps in and wipes away all restrictions on abortion, which I believe is coming, although I wouldn't put it past the four-member liberal majority to simply table this issue because they understand how valuable it is as a wedge issue for Democrats this election. It seems to me that Republicans have to do something. While this isn't what I would do, all right, I guess this is technically something. Paul in Racine, up next on the Dan O'Donnell Show. What's going on, Paul?
Hey, Dan. Good Monday to you. How are you?
Not too bad, sir. What's going on?
Well, I wanted to talk to you for a second about this issue and just say that the problem with just marginalizing abortion, marginalizing how people feel about marijuana, all you get from a lot of people is apathy. We talked about, the amount of money. One of the things that swayed people to Tim Michels during the governor's campaign was the fact that he could self-fund. Well, what does that tell you? I can tell you that a lot of people like myself are so fed up with the Republicans that I won't give them money anymore. I felt like they didn't really get behind President Trump in the last election. And quite honestly, I get insulted when their idea of quote-unquote fundraising is sending me out a text using terms like, where are you? Patriot. And my point with that is you've got to have some issues. And I think the moral ones, like abortion, are things that we need to take a stand on, Dan. It's 80 million souls that have been murdered.
Sure.
Since Roe v. Wade. I mean,
no, I don't disagree.
But you say sure, Dan, but think about that for a second. At some point, this country has to come to the end of itself with some of these things and realize that what made us great was the fact that we did stand on some moral principles.
Sure, but you do understand that is having an electoral impact. And that, so the question is one of pragmatism, Paul. every poll and every election since the Roe v. Wade decision that's been overturned has been saying the exact same thing. Look, you and I understand that this is a moral issue, but how are we supposed to act morally if it is impossible for us because of our unwillingness to compromise on this issue? We're unable to defeat. You would argue that Democrats are the party of immorality, right? Like Democrats, if they had their druthers, would allow abortions up until the moment of birth. They'd legalize every hard drug in the world. If we're unable to defeat them because we're unwilling to compromise, to give even a little, where poll after poll after poll and election result after election result after election result are all telling us the American people we're sort of standing on moral grounds, which is great, but we're not able to actually win and impart and have moral governance because we can't have access to the levers of power.
Dan, let me try to answer it this way to you. I think we've been compromising for 50 years. And what has it gotten us? You know, it's okay to do this. It's okay to do that. Dan, I can tell you when I was in college in the 80s, there was, abortion rights was a big deal back then. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of the conservative Christian radio that I listened to would talk about how in these rallies they wanted to bring in MANBLA, Man-Boy Love Association. And, they were sounding the alarm about that. And, a lot of people on the left, no, that'll never happen. This is as far as it's going to go. And it hasn't. And I think at the end of the day, Dan, not Mark. I think at the end of the day, I guess where I stand, and I hate to say this because I understand you have kids, your producer has kids, I have nieces and nephews, I have family. Let it burn down. I mean, let it burn down, honestly. It sounds horrible, but what else?
Let what burn down?
What do we do? Just let them win the elections.
So you're saying you would rather turn the country over to Democrats than to compromise at all?
To say, Dan, is I'd like to see the Republican Party move further to the right, and that might require some pain. It's no different than what some of the football teams are asking themselves today and last week.
Well, Paul, I think this is exactly what I'm talking about here. Like, how do we win by losing?
I think what you have to do is you have to rebuild it. I don't think in its current state you can win. I think it needs to be rebuilt.
Okay, so you have to rebuild the Republican Party as more pro-life, more anti-marijuana, appealing to, by definition, a smaller subset of Americans. I guess my question would be, how do you ever win an election again? Paul, you're sort of saying, okay, well, just allow Democrats to win. With all due respect, that's stupid in the extreme. If your aim is to be moral and to have moral, ethical governance, conceding elections and saying, well, let's burn it down so that the thoroughly immoral, devoid of ethics party can have total control of all levers of government. That's not just cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's slicing off your entire face.
No, Dan, I don't think it is. You say it's stupid in the extreme, but I mean, you look at, take for example, Hagedorn. Now, I sat across the table from him, and he talked about he was going to be so pro-conservative, and he was going to, vote pro-conservative. Let me ask you a question. Has he?
Let me ask you this. Did he vote more? Did he vote more often than not than Lisa Neubauer? Yes, on issues that aren't exactly the ones that grab headlines. I would say his success rate is about 40%. Had we just followed your advice, okay, and said, just don't vote for Hagedorn, I can guarantee you Lisa Neubauer would have been 0%. So the issue of, well, just, I'm not happy with these Republicans, so let's just hand Democrats the keys to the kingdom is quite possibly, Paul, and I know you mean well, I do, but that's the dumbest thing I think I've heard in a long time. Dan O'Donnell Show, coming right back.
On the football field, Tim Tebow was a national college champion and NFL quarterback. He was equally well known for being an outspoken, unapologetic champion for Christianity. You're invited to hear Tim Tebow speak about his football and faith journeys and how you can be a champion for Jesus at the March 7th, 2024 Covering the World in Christ celebration in West Bend. You don't want to miss this powerful event. For tickets and more information, visit csuiteforchrist.com.
DraftKings, the leader in fantasy sports, just dropped a brand new fantasy app, Pick Six, the newest way to get in on the fantasy football action with DraftKings. Getting started simple. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app. Sign up using code GREATESTPICK. Just pick between 2 and 6 NFL players. Choose if they're going to have more or less of a stat. For example, will a player have more or less than 100 yards? Will a player have more than 1 touchdown? Track your lineup and compete against others for a shot at huge cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app now and sign up with code GREATESTPICK. That's code GREATESTPICK. Only on DraftKings Pick Six. The crown is yours. Approved local P6 states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Valid only in states where DraftKings Pick Six operates. For up-to-date list of states, please visit dkng.com/pick6states. Void where prohibited. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get the power of a cut above. Decades of expertise to transform your home from so-so to virtuoso. The power of neighborhood painters. We live where you live and probably like the same pizza place you do. Put the power of pro to work for you today. Get your project started at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services and host of the Designer Yard Show. I want to share a landscaping secret with you. Winter is when our ornamental trees and shrubs need us most. We all know that plants need pruning, but why in the winter? Well, first, we can see their structure best when the leaves have fallen. And second, pruning is not so stressful when your plants are dormant. Pruning is affordable and makes a huge impact on the vitality and beauty of your trees and shrubs. So prune this winter and have gorgeous flowers next spring and summer. Pruning also helps keep your plants properly sized. No more dancing around them on the sidewalk or wrestling through them to wash your windows. Call today and schedule a complimentary evaluation of your ornamental plants. Our plant care experts will make sure your trees, shrubs, and perennials perform and look their best. Discover the wonders of nature. Call Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services at 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
Men, mark your calendars for an event that will ignite your faith and empower you to live a life of no regrets. The No Regrets Men's Conference is back, and this year's theme is Fearless. Join us on February 3rd at Elmbrook Church in Brookfield for a day that will transform your life. Imagine a conference where you'll be surrounded by a brotherhood of faith, united by a common goal, to live boldly and fearlessly for Christ. Listen to dynamic speakers from all over the country, like Joby Martin, Derwin Gray, and Ricky Jenkins, sharing powerful stories rooted in faith that will equip you to overcome challenges in your marriage or with your kids or at your workplace. It's time to break free from the chains of fear and step into the purpose that God has designed for you. Don't miss the chance to be part of a community of fearless men who are ready to embrace their faith and face the future with unwavering courage. Visit noregretsconference.org to learn more and get your tickets now for the No Regrets Men's Conference on February 3rd. noregretsconference.org to get your tickets today.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Gold just hit a new all-time high, and it could go much higher as people realize just how delicate our economy is. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I've spoken to many Americans who are deeply concerned about losing everything and not being able to do anything about it. This is why I'm thankful for physical gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group. Because unlike digital and paper assets, gold is a true haven that all Americans should consider for their financial security. To find out more, text the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. This is your chance to secure your IRA or 401k against the unpredictable nature of our economy. To find out more, text PROTECT to the number 989898 now to request your free info kit on gold IRAs.
When you need to know, come to us. News Talk 1130 WISN. The next generation is here. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
What our caller was sort of suggesting would be akin to, okay. You know what? I'm gonna answer that on the Mark Belling Show because I want to flush out this idea that you can't compromise at all. It's this moral absolutism that I believe has cost Republicans. We'll talk about this more this afternoon on the Mark Belling late afternoon show, I promise. I did promise, however, a little bit more in-depth analysis on the Green Bay Packers. And seeing as we only have about a minute left in this morning's show, it's going to have to be quick. Bottom line, the Packers outplayed San Francisco for 58 minutes in all phases, offense, defense, special teams, especially offensively. In that first half, they were moving the ball at will. However, you got to get touchdowns. We saw it against the Dallas Cowboys. They go into the red zone 3 times. They come away with a 21-point lead. In San Francisco, they get in the red zone early 3 times. They come away with 2 field goals and a 4th down stop. Immediately, San Francisco is back into the game with a Christian McCaffrey touchdown. Packers are still able to turn what was a great San Francisco offense. And a big reason, folks, let's not discount the fact that Deebo Samuel was knocked out of the game early. I'll tell you what, unfortunately, we got to leave it there. Have no fear, though. I've got a second show, 3 o'clock, WISN. Talk to you then.
News that's factual,